Good morning and welcome to the 9th annual First Coast Expressway Summit hosted by the Clay EDC. Thank you for being here. Thank you for registering. We hope you'll have some great information this morning. You will leave here hopefully knowing exactly what the status of the First Coast Expressway is and some of the other events that are happening throughout the community. I would say at this time I'd like to introduce my board with Clay EDC. So if you're a board member for Clay EDC, will you please just stand up and be recognized? So thank you. Thank you for doing that. Also would like to thank the Thrasher Horn. They are always so gracious in working with us. As you see, this does not happen just by chance. So they have put a lot of time and energy in allowing this to happen here. So with that, I would also like to say a big thank you to Superior Construction, Brian McGarry and his team as being our title sponsor for this event. And in a few moments, Brian will come up and make a few comments on behalf of Superior. And I need to make a very heartfelt introduction to Lindsay Griffin, who came on our staff in January, and she has done an incredible job making me look really good on these types of events. So thank you, Lindsay. If you see emails from us, they will 99% of the time be from Lindsay, so make sure you pay attention to what's going on, please. Brian McGarry, if you'll come up and please share with us about Superior. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you, Crawford. Thank you, Lindsay, for putting together such a wonderful event for today. As you said, this is Mike Daniel, and been here a number of times, and it's great to see this event get put on each year. So a little bit about Superior. We recently have surpassed our 85th anniversary. We're a fourth-generation family-owned company. We've been in the North Florida region for nearly 40 years now. We have had the opportunity to participate in projects and developments throughout the region with all the major entities, between Clay County, FDOT, City of Jacks, and so on. And it's been a real honor to get to see the fruits of our labor and how that's helped the communities grow over time. We're really looking forward to see how the First Coast Expressway is going to continue to develop and grow Clay County. I think we're right on the cusp of what we're going to see is some incredible future growth for the region, and I really look forward to being part of that in its beginnings and seeing it as it goes on and continue to be a part of it. So with that, I really appreciate everyone for coming today. We're really honored to be the title sponsor, and I'll pass it on to our first presenter.
So with that, I would like to call forward David Tyler with FDOT to give us a presentation on where FDOT is on the First Coast Expressway.
All right, thank you. Good morning. My name is David Tyler. I'm today representing FDOT. This is my first time here. Hopefully the information you guys get today from me is good, because I like to come back next year. The breakfast was really good. Thank you, Lindsay, for coordinating my involvement of presentation material and reminding me to put this together. So I had something to share today. So just a little bit about me. I work for the Florida Department of Transportation. I'm a professional engineer, certified planner. I've been with DOT 16 years. I'm in the Transportation Planning Office. I work on small projects, all the way up to interchange, interstate, capacity improvement projects. I also do a lot of grant coordination and funding the state federal grants for DOT. So just a little bit, I know Brian mentioned growth in the region, and especially associated with this project. So I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about that. So this is a map showing the department's District 2, the district that I work in for Florida Department of Transportation. This is the Northeast region, and just some really kind of telling information. The Northeast Florida has a mix of urban centers and rural areas, has a relatively young population. It supports high-skilled labor with a lot of room for growth. The coast is on Jacksonville, St. Augustine, which is a big visitor destination, obviously. Northeast Florida currently has a population of 2.3 million permanent residents. And obviously the visitors are about 5 times that in the region. And we have a million jobs as well. And we cover 11.8 thousand square miles. So this map shows a representation of some of the future jobs and residents forecasted the next 30 years. So each dot representing 500 new jobs or 500 new residents by geography, depending on the color. The orange lines show the forecasted congested corridors in the region. And obviously, Northeast Florida sees heavy freight traffic, not only along I-10, I-75, I-95 corridors, but also on the various rail lines that connect Florida, Georgia, and to the rest of the Southeast U.S. The 676 mainline rail miles in Northeast Florida represents 24% of the state's total, so just kind of come right there. We're also home to Jacksonville, which is Florida's largest container port by volume and one of the nation's top vehicle handling ports. We do a lot of investments with Jacksonville, so we expect to see about a 60% increase in container carrying capacity and other freight traffic based on some of the investments that the department has made in and around port. Obviously, the Northeast Florida is also home to a lot of recreational and outdoor activities, including our trail systems, all of the TA and the Sun Trail programs, and work with the county and TPO for those type of parks too. And this map shows a little bit different perspective of the same area, the same 18 counties. We have two MPO regions. Clay County is part of North Florida TPO, shown in the upper right, along with Nassau, St. John's, and Duval County. And so the Northeast region has a lot of unfunded SIS, which is the Strategic Intermodal System funding needs. So it has about $9.5 billion of projects that are identified but unfunded currently. Out of those, $1.8 billion are related to the seaports. Okay. And we're also the only area in Florida, aside from Central Florida, with unfunded needs related to spaceport territory programs with Cecil instead of airport. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the TPO region and some of the data that we've received from the latest census. Over the last 2 years, from between 2020 and 2022, the TPO region has grown by 4.5% in population. And you can see from the pie chart there, Clay County represents about 14% of the TPO region, with 1.6 million residents. And here's another, this shows the population increase from 2010 census to the 2020 census. We've seen a 30.5% population increase, which is pretty staggering. And then in St. Thomas County, that's in St. Thomas County. Overall, in this region, it's about 16.5%. So this is some of the demographic data. So for political discourse or whatever you might use this one, shows the breakdown of demographic. And then median and household income. Clay County's at the top of the list. A great job. You guys are doing great. And we're here in Clay County a lot higher than the median income for Florida, which is $63,000 versus the $76,000 that we're seeing in this region. All right, and with that, this is the percentage of households without a vehicle, so regional zero-car households. Only 3.8% in the region versus Florida's average of 6%. And this shows the regional unemployment rate of 3%. So again, really good in this region. Clay County is just under 2%. And you can see the trend over time. The unemployment rate has been decreasing, so that's really good to see. Some of the unique characteristics of this region, related to economics, is the diversified industries in the region. We have healthcare, finance, insurance, logistics, manufacturing, technology. Obviously, the port is a big drive of economics in this region. And then financial and insurance sectors, which are here, provide a lot of employment opportunities, as well as manufacturing. We do a lot of work in the automotive industry with this region, aerospace and defense as well. Healthcare is another big job creator in this region, as well as tourism and hospitality, which should be no surprise anyone here. Education and research. This region is home to several higher education institutions, including University of North Florida and Jacksonville University. Small business and entrepreneurship. Northeast Florida has a vibrant small business and entrepreneurial ecosystem, and also the workforce and labor markets. There's a lot of availability of skilled workforce in this area. So we did we're in the midst of our Florida Transportation Plan update, which guides our funding decisions over the next 20 years for the department. And as part of that, we've been working since last year on coming up with goals and framework for how we're going to spend our transportation plan in the future through stakeholder engagement and steering committees. So we had a visioning session in May of last year, and from that, a few issues were identified for us to focus on. Issue one is proactively prepare for future growth. We have a lot of rural areas in the TPO region in Northeast Florida, and so how is that growth going to occur, and how can we manage that growth in a way that makes sense? How can we integrate multimodal considerations? There's a lot of recreational amenities. Again, I think I touched on it earlier, with more than 80,000 acres of urban parks in this region. And so how are people getting to and from those areas and utilizing Florida, great outdoors full of tourism and ecotourism. And then prioritize funding for maintenance and modernizations. I think one of the kind of key projects that falls into this issue is the St. Augustine seawall replacement that we're working on now to combat some of that storm surge and impacts from hurricanes and sunny day flooding through king tides. And then we've been doing a little bit of a roadshow just to kind of give you an update on that. We've had 67 partner engagements across Florida, engaging with over 7,100 in-person meetings. And from those, the common themes, which shouldn't be too surprising for anybody, is reducing traffic congestion is what we've been kind of tasked to focus on, the improved roadway safety, efficient transportation options in multimodal type in freight and rail, passenger rail and bus and other transit, walkability and pedestrian infrastructure, innovation technology, and leveraging funds and partnerships. And so again, we're here to talk a little bit about First Coast Express. Hopefully you all have seen this map or some version of it, which shows the different phases of the First Coast Expressway. And more specifically in this region, phase 2, which shows the work being done in Clay County. And I'm not going to dive into this. I had a whole presentation on all this, but our PIO office is coming up later today. I realized that late last week and getting the same materials. So I didn't want to duplicate her efforts. So, and her presentation was much better than what I could do. So yes, just hang on for that. So what I wanted to talk about a little bit instead is the additional projects we have in and around First Coast Express. We understand travel patterns are going to change. There's so much growth in this region that, once this project completes it, which Sara will give you an update on the status of that, we need to be looking for the next kind of areas of concerns. There was some projects that we're working on currently. For instance, we're working closely, I should bring this one up, the County Road 220 widening project at Henley, with the Henley Road intersection improvement and the bridge replacement at Nightbox Road is something we're working on with Clay County to be good partners on that project and some others in the region. To kind of talk about, for those who aren't really familiar with the department's process for developing new projects, this kind of shows the life cycle of a project from Long Branch Transportation Planning, working with TPO and our regional partners and other stakeholders to develop these long-range 20-year plans that we can fund, and then the unfunded E-plan, which we can hopefully prioritize and get funded for in the future. Once projects get funded, they move into project development and environment study phase, which is the time where we look at different alternatives. We do a lot of stakeholder coordination, and we start meeting with some public and different agencies, permitting agencies, and other regulatory agencies, and eventually come up with a concept that we can move into design, where we get the contract documents put together. We do the right-of-way acquisition if necessary, and then move into construction, and then ultimately it goes to operations and maintenance, and then repeats that cycle. I kind of wanted to just point out, a lot of the main thing here is early coordination for planning and P&E. So whenever we have new big projects coming up, I like to put them out there. You kind of get people thinking, and so that's kind of where I wanted to go with this. You can see this as an aerial of the Green Cove Springs on the right side. You can see the alignment for First Coast Express kind of on the left side of the screen. This is State Road 16, where the fairgrounds are, 2-lane segment in Clark County High School. So we're looking right now kind of early at a widening project to connect to the eventual interchange at on 16 heading east. I put drafts, probably not big enough letters, but the reason this is important is, we're going to have a raised divided median. That's what we're proposing throughout this corridor, and so that really limits some of the access that some of these properties on either side of the road are able to utilize. And so this is, again, an early draft, something that I want to just kind of put out there. And these access spaces are based on our designs, the design speed and the standard for the roadway. But we laid them out, again, keeping in mind fairgrounds and the school. And ultimately, the plan is to get out to the public, hopefully sometime later this year, and really do some workshopping, lay out some potential ponds, and get some feedback. Because I want to put that in front of you all. I'll be sharing this with you, but hopefully she can share it, for a larger group. And, this is really where you have a chance to make the change in these projects, and really we want to hear from you all, especially in this kind of setting where maybe there's developers or other interests in this region. So if there's access concerns or developments of regional impact that we're not aware of, that may be coming, we definitely want to hear about these things as we start to plan these projects, and it can make changes at this point. First Coast Express, I think, is pretty settled on what we're doing, but hopefully at some point we'll be having a summit, talking about the State Road 16 summit, or these other projects in the region, and again, we'll be tying into the 4-lane that exists in Green Cove Springs. That's all I have today, just kind of a quick high level. Like I said, Sara will dive into the detail of the project itself and the milestones, but that's my contact information. Thank you for having me here today. My hand up this time. Watch, I wasn't sure how much time I'm supposed to be out here. Okay, I got thumbs up. So any questions or anything that Sandu wants to hear about? Thank you all.
Thank you, David. We appreciate the update from FDOT on that. So at this time, I would like to call Jerry Johnston with CCUA to come let us know where the water and sewer, the reclaimed water, and everything else is.
Good morning, and thank you for having us here today to talk about what's happening with the Clay County Utility Authority. I get to do this really great presentation. I've been looking forward to it because we've been talking about things that are happening. Well, the reality is they're here. And so the title of my presentation is Ready to Connect. And in saying that, that's a credit to the Clay County Utility Authority team and the great professionals that we have there. This stuff would not have been possible with the great level of professionals that we had and the teamwork that was involved to execute these projects in this particular, or all these different efforts. A little bit about CCUA. We are a special legislative district. We came into existence 30 years ago, and we just celebrated in October our 30th anniversary. We currently serve about 56,000 customer accounts. That's a little over 130,000 people. Our forecasts have us doubling in size by 2045, which is a substantial amount of growth. And the only way we're going to be able to handle that growth, and my staff hears me say this, we got to plan our work and work our plan. The board has seen and adopted an integrated water resource plan, a strategic plan, and we did a rate study. All of these work together so that we're planning our work, and it's been amazing how much we've been able to accomplish by looking ahead and then executing that plan in incremental steps. So the first thing I'll start out with is workforce development. We can talk about technology, we can talk about capital infrastructure, but if you don't have the professionally trained, technically trained workforce, it's all for naught. And so we have invested a lot. We are a heavily regulated industry. We have permits obviously dealing with the EPA, DEP, water management districts, etc. So there is a lot involved in permits and licensing, etc. So we started from the ground floor. We had an informal policy or process to hire some high school interns. We doubled down on that with a formal high school internship program. And I want to give a shout out to Superintendent Broski, Kelly Bosley, Scott Thomas, and the school district staff, because this high school internship program has been great for us. So it has created a pipeline into the organization of great young people that we are training, and we've been able to hire the vast majority of those into the workforce, and some of those original interns are now chief operators, lead operators, et cetera. So we definitely appreciate and are very grateful for that relationship with the school district. And tied to that, we implemented a training and development program on the operations side. So it's one thing to get young people into the organization, it's another to develop them from the technical skills they need, the licensing from the state that they need, and then prepare them for promotions in the future. So our training program also provides management and leadership opportunities. So when those promotion opportunities present themselves, they have the training and the management and the leadership skills for those positions when they become available. And this has been hugely successful in the organization, and we will definitely be maintaining this moving forward. Next, I want to talk a little bit about modernization. We've moved a lot of people's cheese this last year with the implementation of the new customer portal. That is also tied to new financial systems, new HR systems, new payment systems, new procurement systems, new inventory control systems. And I will say, for the rest of my career, we will not be doing anything like this. Okay? But this is obviously to drive operational efficiency, transparency in the organization, to empower our management and leadership with real-time data for real-time decision-making, and also make efficiency and transparency more apparent to our board and to our customers. So we've modernized in the modern technology and will continue to grow and develop with these systems. Next, growth is underway. We all know this, we all see this. In the Lake Asbury area, there's a lot happening. When I was updating this slide, I was actually taking subdivisions off because my staff was telling me, oh, that subdivision's built out now. And we've added some additional subdivisions. The Saratoga Springs is our most recent master utility agreement, and the Governor's Park agreement, which goes back to 2014. Those first phases are either in permitting or moving forward as we speak. All of these represent an enormous number of new households, and we're looking forward, and we're working with the Clay EDC to recruit businesses from the commercial industrial side to support those new rooftops. This is really what I'm really pleased to talk about, being ready to connect. So in the previous years and previous presentations, we kept talking about the capital infrastructure that's either in the planning or it's design, and last year was under construction. This year, I get to come before you and tell you it's ready. It's operational. So Peters Creek, that new wastewater treatment facility, we've moved into operations, and we're in the final steps to close that particular project out. The Saratoga Springs facility is fully operational. The Governor's Park facilities are at the final steps of their construction closeout efforts, and the same thing with the expansion of Mid-Clay, Meadow Lakes, and I could go on with a list of others. So all of these projects were specific to growth in the Lake Asbury, heart of the county. These projects are operational for their intended purposes, and they are ready to connect. One of the other things that I'm really pleased to talk about today is the Lake Asbury Master Planning Capital Infrastructure Policy. This is a policy that our board adopted for us to pioneer pipeline or trunk main infrastructure in the Lake Asbury area. The spines that connect the gridded system are large diameter pipes. There was a potential barrier for entry because our service availability policy as it's written requires developers to put this trunk main infrastructure in. By this policy, we're pioneering the infrastructure, and when the development happens, we're getting reimbursed for that capital infrastructure. This represents nearly a $30 million investment for the utility, and we'll be updating the cost of that as projects happen year over year. So there will be an update, transparency again, as we update those costs for annual reports to the board. What I'm really pleased to report here, this effort is underway too. The green segment that's over by Shadowlawn is nearly complete, as in the final stages there. The sections that are on the eastern side of the expressway are moving forward. If they're not already under construction, I know they will put out to bid, so those are advancing. The last segment is in red, and that segment is currently moving into the design process. And we expect that to be operational and complete, the Lake Asbury capital infrastructure, in the next 18 to 24 months. So it's happening at a very, very rapid pace. Now, CCUA has a long reputation of being very forward-thinking. We adopted reclaimed water in the 1990s. We adopted AA biosolids and advanced wastewater treatment years before the board began wrestling with that. And we intend and we will be maintaining that same forward-thinking posture. In the Integrated Water Resource Plan, it looks at population growth and potential solutions to maintain a water supply moving forward. And there's triggers within that Integrated Water Resource Plan. Tied to that, we just recently did a ribbon cutting for our potable reclaimed water pilot project that's at the Mid-Clay facility. We're very excited about hosting the Clay EDC Board of Directors at this facility in the month of March. We're even organizing a water tasting for that particular event. But that represents our commitment to test this type of technology to maintain water supplies and environmental resources well into the future. And so we know there's an adoption consideration here. That's why this facility is designed with an education component. We want to invite people to come and see what this technology is, see the results. So not only the EDC Board of Directors, in March we have the Engineering Academy with the school district that's coming out here, and we're more than willing to host tours so people can come and see this facility and what it's actually doing and what it's producing. And then next, tied to the forward-thinking effort, is the North Florida Regional Water Supply Plan Project Partnership. I did not create the name, okay? So we were the point of the sphere on this particular effort. We were coming up on our consumptive use permit renewal, and there are environmental restraints, water supply restraints in the North Florida region that largely center in the Swanee Basin. So being a team builder and a problem solver, how do we resolve these particular issues? Because we did an analysis, again, forward thinking, and we came to the conclusion there was no way to really technically or financially solve the problems from CCUA's customers' water use impact in Clay County. So how do we bring people together to solve regional issues? And so we managed to get the 7 entities together where we held a leadership meeting, and then we created this partnership that we went through a year-long effort. This partnership is between the Florida Department of Environmental Protection, the St. Johns River Water Management District, the Swanee River Water Management District, JBA, GRU, St. Johns County Utility Department, and us. And so we went through this effort where we engaged a consultant and we started looking at where were there water supplies that were in surplus and where were there environmental restraints where there were water needs. And then how do we connect those through capital infrastructure? This effort resulted in nearly 1,000 projects, and then we went through a number of scenarios, what provided the most environmental benefit, what was the cost, and then a number of projects came to the top of what provided the most benefit for the most reasonable cost. And that's what the focus out of this particular report is. This report is finished. We've been taking this to Tallahassee and talking with the legislature, because these capital projects that are in this report would allow the state of Florida to sustainably manage water resources in perpetuity. So not only does that protect the springs, the lakes, the rivers, all these environmental resources that are so important to us as residents of the state of Florida. It's why we live here. We enjoy those resources, but also support the growing population. The reality is water is a recyclable resource. The technology is there. That's part of the reason for the potable reuse pilot project. And we can invest in that technology to sustainably manage those environmental restraints, the water resources, to support the growing population in perpetuity. So here we were on the leading edge, so we did not end up on the bleeding edge. And so with that, we are ready to connect future customers, and I can answer any questions. So the question is, what do we see as far as the potable reuse demand in the next 5 years? So in reality, the potable reuse pilot, a little background. So by regulation, we have to test that pilot project for a minimum of 12 months before putting it into any type of production. So we're in that demonstration phase. In the integrated water resource plan, we do not see a need for the potable reuse until probably 8 to 10 years out. So it's not an immediate need. So that's why we're testing it now. It allows us to train our staff. It allows us to do public engagements from a user adoption standpoint. But the reality is, if we are redirecting reclaimed water to treat it to such a high degree for potable purposes, we need to then supplement the irrigation, which is a lower quality water, which will be additional infrastructure. That's why we were testing stormwater harvesting. We have in the integrated water resource plan of stormwater management to augment the reclaim system. Those things will take years to build over time, so those work together in conjunction to sustain supplies depending on their relative treatment. That is a great question, and I'll say that's also the multi-million-dollar question. So we're very much engaged with PFAS. For those that don't know, I'm not going to pronounce PFAS. It's also known as the forever chemicals. Forever chemicals are in all kinds of products that we use every single day. And so there are also a lot of health effects that are related to PFAS. It's a reality of those chemicals. They don't go away, hence the name forever chemicals. So in the UCMRs, which is unregulated, I forget the acronym, we have to test every 2 years for a list of these type of contaminants in the drinking water. Clay County is very blessed with a confined aquifer system, and it's been non-detect across the board on the drinking water from the aquifer. So we're in excellent shape when it comes from the potable supply. We do believe, and we are testing when it comes to the potable reuse facility for the forever chemicals in the waste stream. And the reality is, we as customers, as people, contribute PFAS into the waste stream. It's in soap, it's in cosmetics, it's in sunscreen, it's in clothing, textiles, etc. As you wash, as you do your laundry, those forever chemicals do leach out and then go into the waste stream. And that is something we are looking at. How would we potentially address those issues? So one of the things about the potable reuse facility, it has a multi-barrier approach, and granular activated carbon, which is one of the barriers that's in the potable reuse facility, is highly successful in screening the forever chemicals. And beyond the granulated activated carbon, there is ultrafiltration after that. So that's why the potable reuse facility is a great example, because it does have a multi-barrier approach. Again, multi-million-dollar question, and that is currently being researched. And so there is no great answer for that. So just so everyone knows, CCUA uses what's called a biologic nutrient reduction process in our treatment process. So that uses bacteria to consume the human waste. That bacteria does absorb the forever chemicals. And so once the bacteria gets to a certain age and a certain concentration, we waste the biosolids and we go through a process that turns it into commercial grade fertilizer. The reality is the forever chemicals does exist in the biosolids, and that is a area of research that's currently going on.
Great presentation, Jeremy. So 3-4 years ago, when you would ask, hey, where's the water, where's the sewer? It's like, we're getting there, and as Jeremy said, we are now there. So let me connect the dots for some of you guys. So when we are working industrial scope projects, I can't tell them, hey, we think we'll get the water there in 3 years, or I think we can handle the sewer in 3 years. When industry is looking for a community to move into, these are the infrastructure improvements that have to be in place, or they have to be documented that, hey, they will be completed by the time we build our facility. And so for what we do on a day in, day out basis, what Jeremy has done and his team is makes Clay County much more sustainable and competitive as a community for industrial projects. So Jeremy, thank you for what all you guys have done in the last 2-3 years. Also wanted to make a comment. So I did say this is the 9th annual First Coast Expressway Summit. The First Coast Expressway was a conversation by a handful of people 25 years ago. And boom, it just happened. So most people think, hey, where'd all this come from? Where all this is going? This was a conversation that started 25 years ago, and it had to be planned, and it had to be discussed, and it had to be financed. And so I just want you to be aware that leadership in the community is looking out 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 50 years. So be encouraged. So with that, I also wanted to comment, we have a number of elected officials and municipal, city, county staff with us. If you'd stand up and be recognized, we appreciate you taking the time to be here. So, and I hope they didn't all sneak out. Commissioner Cremolin back. So thank each of you for taking the time to join us this morning. At this time, I would like to call Ed Dendor with Clay County to give us an update on where the county is on everything.
Good morning, everyone. It's Property Manager Ed Dendor, Clay County, Bond Transportation Program Administrator, as well as Capital Projects Director. I wanted to recognize the commissioners that are in the House, as well as past commissioners. I think I saw Commissioner Sara in the House. And, with that, that's really some of the leadership, if you would, when you talk about 25 years ago. And when we talk about Clay County and what I'm going to touch on here in bond transportation projects, it really is nothing that just happens overnight. It really does take many years of development. I can't believe, again, that it's been only 4 short years ago, there we go, that we actually, I was in here, I got to describe what the bond transportation program looked like. We had basically the funds set aside, we had the roads identified, set of roads. It was basically a concept, the to and from, and what needed to happen. And with that, the county always has had a strategic plan. As part of the county's plan, the transportation bond initiative fit well within the county's development plan for the infrastructure. And of course, roadway is a key important part of that. And it's really all about growth of the county. And I think if you think back many, many years ago, when I was back in the 60s, when I was in the little small area of Mandarin, there was no Buckman Bridge. There really was, that was the rural end of Duval County. There wasn't much going on in St. Jones County, and that's really kind of the direction really where we see Clay County going. You may have seen a little bit of this in a lot of the State Road 23. As a part of that, you've got the new backbone coming down through at State Road 23, multiple interchanges or intersections. And so with that, again, road project. Everybody's favorite subject, obviously, for today's presentation. And, with road projects, we say road projects for the traveling vehicles, but as well as sidewalks, bike paths, and really the walking public as well. So moving directly to the bond transportation projects, it basically is a referendum that started in 2020 in March. Everybody was just coming out of COVID. Things were really starting to creep and move along. But with that bond referendum, there was basically a deadline of the 129 million that needed to be spent by basically March next month of 2025. The total program, roughly about 180 million, 179 million. And with that to date, we've touched over 240 parcels or pieces of property as far as from that concept where each one of these roads are aligned. We incorporated multiple utilities. Jeremy just got up and talked about water, sewer, reuse. We sit down and start scoping and designing these projects with the engineers. We look at what utilities are there. CCOA is very good about, well, here's where we see that expansion going. Rather than us putting a road down, then maybe it's got to be torn up in 3 or 4 or 5 years. Let's go ahead and build that expansion in the roadway at this time. So that was done as well with Clay Electric, with overhead and underground, Green Coast Springs Utilities, Tico Gas, and a plethora of communication folks as far as their communication. And as far as that goes for this whole program, we worked well over 450,000 man hours so far. And again, everybody sees how close we work in conjunction with that travel and the public. And so far, over that 450,000 man hours, we've only had 1 incident. So that's a huge testament to the contractors that are on site, as well as our inspectors that are out there risking their lives day in, day out to make this happen. So far, we've paid out over $110 million. So we've met our matchable mark, if you would, as far as meeting our bond covenants. And with that, as far as that, the amount of man hours worked in 1 incident, we're far exceeding the federal RIR, or affordable incident rate, as far as what our target was. Typically, the national average for this type of work is 1.27. And right now, we're less than 0.44. So project number 1, which is on County Road 218, it's basically a 2 to a 4 lane conversion. It runs from basically Pine Tree to Master's Pit. For the contractors, Anderson, Columbia, and they're about a 30% part complete. They're on schedule, and the intent is to have that completed by the fall of this year. And the designer of that one is WGI. For project number 2, again, this is another 2 to a 4 lane conversion. That road runs from US 17 to the Peters Creek Bridge on County Road 209. It's about 42% complete. It's on schedule as well, and that'll complete the spring of 26, this time next year. The contractor is Superior, and the designer is Jacobs. For project 3A, these were operational improvements on Russell Road, and these occurred at the intersections of Oak Stream Road as well as Watkins intersection. Those projects are complete 100%, and that was this past year. And the contractor there was Curry Development. The designer was GAI. Project 3B, make sure the slides are correct. This is a realignment project, which realigned basically Sandridge Road and County Road 209B. It's about 12% complete. We had a little bit of a late start, and that was really due to wetland mitigation, and that's a whole other part of that whole conceptualization and building the project. See a lot of head shaking there. And the forecast completion for that one is actually fall of this year. The contractor again is Kiewit, and the designer is GAI. And the interesting feature of this project is there's going to be a new roundabout at that intersection. Again, that's a traffic calming feature. And one other thing about roundabouts, they're great. Unlike traffic signalizations, they don't fail come storm or power outages. They continue to work and continue to move traffic. Project 4, this one is basically a 3+ mile segment, operational improvements on Sand Ridge Road. And this one, I've got 98% complete. That was as of a couple of days ago. Actually, yesterday, it's now 100% complete. We've taken substantial completion of that project, which is a huge milestone. It's ahead of schedule, actually completed about a month and a half ahead of schedule. I know it's very difficult for a lot of those folks in the Lake Asbury area, but when you have basically an inch of asphalt that was laid by prison labor maybe 60 years ago on a sand ridge, there's a lot of work that has to be done with the storm water to actually put it in the ponds and not just have water sitting in the roadside ditches. So that project's come a long ways. The contractor there is Kiewit, and the designer is GAI. Project 6B. This one is a lot of interest to a lot of folks in here because this is actually the road that connects State Road 23 to US 17, and it is affectionately known as Cathedral Oak Parkway. Estimated 3.3 miles of a new 2-lane section with shared use paths as well as sidewalks. Of the bridge, multiple crossings across various creeks. The contractor's Superior. This is a design build with RS&H. I think I put them here. Yes, it was J. And again, this was a design build right now to forecast completion the summer of this year, which is about the same time we're going to hear from FDOT. I see her shaking her shoulders about when everything comes together. You really think about it. 25 years ago, 10 years hard planning, 5 years ago, when all these pieces start together. So if you really think about all these roads coming together and opening up at the same time with a matter of weeks or months, to me, it's really a testament to the FDOT shaking their heads, the testament to everybody planning and working really well together. Again, Superior is a contractor on this project. And projects 5 and 6A, little similarities for both these projects. Project 5 is County Road 220 from basically Baxley to Henley. This is just west of the Henley intersection. And Project 6A is from County Road 315 from US 17 to Maryland Avenue. Both of these projects got caught up in the federal injunction, the 404 permit injunction. Both these projects are essentially designed, right-of-way acquisitions are pretty much complete. Permitting is nearing 100%, so these are what we call shovel-ready projects. So as everybody, I know County Road 220 with the new bridge going in, the road shut down, and we're basically working our way from east to west. You'll see the bridge done, and you'll see the intersection done, and then once those projects are done, that project 5, 220 is great, the next section to the west of there, up to Baxley. And then as far as the County Road 315, again, 6A, that's a great project. Once the Cathedral Oak Parkway is established this summer, you start having movement of traffic off of 23, and then that project set up for future expansion as well into a 4-lane section from 17 all the way up to 23. And I don't know, Richard Smith, county engineer, I think he was going to try to be here. This is a little bit kudos to him and his engineering team. Real quick touching base on road resurfacing. Basically, they've spent over $20 million in the last 4 years, and they've done basically 220 miles of resurfacing. And just in this fiscal year alone, which ends in September, they've got another $9.5 million budgeted for resurfacing. And you might say, well, that's a lot of great work. You got all these new people kind of moving in and through our county. Also, in addition, we have to all this road work that's going on, we're putting in multiple new fire stations, the library, firm building for the firefighters to be trained in, economic development buildings, animal shelters, and more just to support all the growth we have here in Clay County. And if that's not enough, there's always plenty to do. There's always annual events that are a lot of fun to be and live here in Clay County. And I just wanted to say, in concluding, if you want to connect and stay connected, we recommend that you use the Clay Connect app. And this is a great place where you can report issues, make requests, get information, anything you may need out of Clay County. And with that, I'm open for potential any questions. Yep, so the question is, sit in front so everybody can hear it. Now, there's, call it wetlands around the new project, Russell Road, which is a new roundabout at 209B and 209. Is there any support or anything the county can do for private residents that have wetlands that don't have septic system? So when you say ask about septic as the county, I'm kind of looking over there to Jeremy. To my, I don't want to speak for Jeremy, but my understanding, when there is a septic that runs in along in the front, when folks are on septic and they're ready to go ahead and say, hey, my septic tank is failing, I need to get a permit to update or upgrade my septic system, they'll say, time out, you've got sewer off drawing. We're going to have to work with you to go ahead and get attached to a CCUA's septic system. As far as that goes, the county really, as the county, are really unable, but to go out on so much private property and do a type of work specific on their septic. That really is a priority for us. The second lead in the question was any additional drainage. So one great thing about these road projects, unlike some of the existing roads, again, you got a 3/4 inch asphalt sitting on sand, all that water runs into a ditch and sits in a ditch. And again, you have about other problem with that if those mosquitoes going on. Well, the intent and what we've done is all these roads will have the drainage system where it takes it to a curb and gutter system that takes it to a stormwater pond and is managed that way. So with that, we're able to improve the drainage all alongside all the roads, which I can't say it can divert any of the wetlands. And part of our project also is we have to determine pre and post conditions. We can't have an ill effect on wetlands. So it's not like we're taking our water, if you would, our stormwater from our roadways and dumping it into the wetlands. That's a no-no. And that's part of that permitting process where you go back and forth. You understand this, I think, with your head shaking. You go back and forth with the authorities and they say, here, we think the wetlands are, and goodness, yeah, they think the wetlands are. And you have to obviously mitigate that. And the question was, how long should the detour last for the County Road T20 bridge replacement? And, they looked at a lot of ways of Sunday to be able to do that and minimize the impact and work really closely with FDOT. Day in and day out, our signal department along with FDO, the FDOT sits out there and monitor that traffic. They've got a traffic monitoring system as well. The county works very closely with FDOT to try to maximize that movement of traffic. Then as well as a lot of people say, this is what I've always done. No, it's very smart. I think a lot of folks, they say, is there a different way I can attack this? Instead of going the same way I go maybe a little bit of holes or out. So I skip a lot of the time that we're finding kind of slow speed.
At this time, I would like to call for Sara Pleasance with FDOT.
Hi, my name is Sara Pleasance, and I am a community outreach specialist with FDOT. I've been with the department for almost 8 years, and I've been working on the First Coast Expressway this whole time, so I'm glad to be here and give you an update. So I think we saw a version of this graphic earlier. This just kind of shows the full path of the First Coast Expressway. Once it's completed, it'll be just over 46 miles connecting I-10 in Duval County to I-95 in St. Johns County. So it's been divided up into smaller projects that are shown there. And currently all of them, but the last little yellow piece, are either completed or under construction. So we're getting close. So I'll go over just the projects that are currently under construction, kind of give you an idea of where they stand. The first one is our Clay North project. It runs from Blaney Boulevard down to just north of State Road 16. $229 million project, began in early 2019 and is estimated for completion this summer. So 11 miles of new roadway. Sara Construction is the contractor for that one, and it's a big project. So some milestones we'd reached in the last year: bridge construction and drainage construction have been completed, embankment excavation almost done with asphalt. So we're getting really close, and projected completion is this summer. So just some photos there of the progress we've been making. But yeah, that one is getting close to being wrapped up. And then the one to the south of that, the Clay South project, goes from just north of State Road 16 to the existing Shands Bridge, $180 million contract. Superior is the contractor for that one. Also roughly 10 miles of new roadway and a lot of different pieces to this project as well. Anticipated completion, total completions to this segment is early 2026. It was tracking right with the North project, but we had to ask Superior to make some changes to accommodate some unfavorable conditions for the bridge project. So relocating the connection to Leonard C. Taylor Parkways a little bit. So that kind of put them a little bit off that original schedule, being both projects being done this summer. But we appreciate that accommodation. So a lot of milestones reached in this last year. Still working on IPS lighting, signage, the final structural lift of asphalt and signals. And then a lot of work to be done in the next year, that relocation of the connection at Leonard C. Taylor Parkway, final asphalt, finishing up the tolling structures. And we do anticipate this segment being open to traffic at least to US 17 by the end of the year. So we are kind of working on a strategy to partially open the South project in conjunction with the North project, so we can get drivers on those roads. We hopefully alleviate some of the congestion elsewhere in the region. The new bridge project, that began in late 2022, estimated completion in 2030, $595 million. That is a Johnson Brothers and American Bridge joint venture. It's a design build project, and now we're getting into the fun part where we're really starting to see a lot of things happening in the water. We've got some temporary bridge trestles being built so they can work in that shallow water. All the plans have been released, working with a lot of muck. That's a technical term. And we did have an exciting development last week. We had our first concrete piles coming in by barge from Gate Precast in the north part of Jacksonville. And we've also got so those are the 30-inch piles. We also have 60-inch piles that are being produced at a facility in Savannah, and they'll be delivered by barge as well. But we've got air tags on these piles so we could track them. We actually had our project manager riding on the barge, and that's what we got the picture last week of them coming in. So in the next year, I expect to see a lot more work in the water, the deep foundation-driven piles. You'll really just see a lot more activity as they get those piles delivered. They can only manufacture them so fast, so we'll be getting constant deliveries, and then they'll be getting them in the water. So those are some of the milestones we expect in this next year: ground improvements, embankment, and then those piles. This next project, it is our first leg in St. Johns County. That got started November, December last year. The contractor is Demoya. It's about 4.5 miles of new roadway in St. Johns County at a cost of about $242 million. And that goes from County Road 16A to east of County Road 65, East St. Johns Parkway. So Demoya has gotten right to work. We've gotten in there, gotten a lot of clearing done. They started embankment, starting some bridge piles. So they really, we want to be on an accelerated schedule, which we're not mad about. So this project, they're all kind of tracked in for completion around 2030. And, if we see them completed a little earlier, that'll be exciting. So they'll continue working on utility relocations, MSC walls, embankment, and we expect to see a lot of activity over there in the next year as well. And then there's the last piece that goes from east of St. John's Parkway to I-95. We've got a major multi-lane interchange at I-95. That project is supposed to let in September of this year, so we would expect construction to start probably near the end of the year. And that's 2.3 miles of new roadway and that major interchange. So with that, that's just kind of an overview of the different project segments, but happy to answer any questions you might have. Basically, yes. So we've got State Road 21 is where that north project starts. And then that project goes to north of State Road 16. So that'll be completely done this summer. And then we're kind of working on the best approach to partially open that south project into Green Cove in conjunction with that. But they'll still be working on that project. So the new roadway will connect to the existing Shands Bridge until the new bridge is completed. The question is it going to be congested? I am not a future predictor. I cannot see into the future, but probably yes. It's the default setting in the region. Question is, what is going to happen to the old Shands Bridge? And when the new bridge is completed, they will demolish the majority of the bridge, that middle section, and they will leave a section on either end on the Clay and St. John side, and those will be converted into a recreational pier. They will connect to, there's going to be a shared east path on the new Shands Bridge, which is really exciting, so you could walk, run, ride your bike across the river in that area, if that's something you like to do. There will be nice little recreational areas on either side, and we've got agreements with both Clay County and St. Johns County for them to maintain those once they're built. I don't know yet if we're going to use like explosives to demolish the bridge. Probably not, but so the question is, will you have to pay a toll to cross the bridge? And the answer is no. So they did not want to take a crossing that's currently free and impose a toll on it. So as long as you get on and at the nearest access points on either side of the river, you will not have to pay toll. All right, and my contact information is there, so if you think of something later, you want to email me, and then you've also got the First Coast Expressway website that's got a lot of good information on it, some interactive GIS maps, some videos, so please check that out. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Appreciate the update from FDOT. Our next presenter is Mr. Walter Kloss with WGI, and he will talk more in detail about what they are doing with the bridge.
Good morning. I'm glad you cleared that about a bridge over troubled water, but I'm over Kloss with WGI. We're an engineer planning survey and much more firm here in Clay County, and we're part of the design build team of the Johnston Brothers American Bridge, doing the Shands Bridge project. It was a design build project, and it was from about County Road 16A to across the river and to just east of County Road 209, commonly included, we refer to as the Shands Bridge piece of the First Coast Expressway. Just kind of go through some of the construction pictures that are occurring out there. A lot of what Sara presented and the great questions that you all asked with part of my presentation, so I guess I'll go a little bit quicker there today and hopefully get you out quicker too. But starting here on the right side of the photograph, you'll see the County Road 16A interchange that's going to be constructed as part of the project, and the extension of County Road 16A to that new interchange. And as you progress from right to left, the expressway will cross over State Road 13, and from that point, as the expressway is going over 13, it's going to remain elevated over 13, over Steamboat Road, over the course of the river, and then over Cans Fear Road as you get to the Clay County side, and then it'll come back down to grade as you get closer to along the airport on the west side of our project. So that's just a general overview of the project, and now we're going to start from the west side and kind of work our way to the east side from Clay County to St. Johns County. So this is the area that you're currently been constructed by Superior Construction on the west side, right there by Reynolds Deer Park. You see the 1 or 2 lanes of road that have been constructed, which is really the northbound lanes. As part of our project, we're going to be building the 2 lanes that are the southbound or eastbound as you're going over to St. Johns County, adjacent to those to the right of what you see there. You see the area that's been cleared for the lane to be constructed. And as you coming here closer to the river, you see in the background is again the construction of the 2 southbound lanes will be to the right side of that pavement that you see in this picture here. Sara mentioned the connection. This is a temporary connection to State Road 16 that is going to get modified because of some unsuitable material, muck, and as well as some compressible soils that are clay soils underneath the muck, and so they need to be compressed. Typically, what that is, the ground improvements that you mentioned is going to be a surcharge area, and what that typically is a big mound of dirt sitting on top of the existing soil to compress the underlying soil below the ground level. And so that will be happening along this area here. It will be starting up shortly. And as you get closer to the river, you'll see some of the area that's already having some of the muck being removed, and it's all been cleared already for a while. And the construction of the temporary trusser bridge, this is on the Clay County side,
And they need the trestle bridge because it's too shallow to float barges to drive the piles in the water. And so the trestle bridge will go out to where they can get float barges. So that's being constructed on the Clay County side currently. And when you get to the St. John County side, the temporary trestle bridge has already been constructed all the ways out into the river as far as it needs to go. It's hard to see in the picture, but as you look a little bit closer to the shoreline, there are figures that are being constructed off the trestle bridge to allow the construction equipment to get in there and drive the pile and set the beam for the bridge to get constructed on the project. This is just to the east, so you kind of see where the trestle bridge is actually tying back into the existing ground there on the St. Johns County side. Steamboat Road is also shown in this photograph. And again, the project will span over Steamboat Road and then eventually is tied back into a roadway that's elevated with some walls and continuing on to the State Road 13, go over State Road 13, and then ultimately, and there's in the back on there to see where the interchange will be constructed. So this is what Sarah was talking about, the piles. They're the exciting moment in the project is the piles that are going to be used for construction of the bridge, and it will be occurring. These piles are probably going to be in for the main channel, so these will be constructed from bars as test piles for the foundation for the main channel bridge. The 60-inch piles that Sarah mentioned are going to be utilized in the area closer to the shoreline, the main channel. So the bridge itself is going to have 4 lanes. It's going to have two 12-foot lanes in each direction, 12-foot shoulders on the outside. It will have a 12-foot shared use path that will be on the north side of the bridge or in the westbound or northbound direction. So you'll be able to utilize that trail. You'll be able to see and look at Green Cove Springs and the lights are there at night, and during the day you're going to be out there walking and riding on that trail. And the bridge will be lit as well. The existing piers or existing bridge will be removed, as Sarah mentioned. And but one other thing I do want to mention. James Charles is with Johnston Brothers. Can you stand up? He is here from Johnston Brothers. With any project, typically any dollar spent on transportation improvement, it yields about $4 in return to the local economy. I know that you're probably, as construction starts ramping up, has opportunities for people to hire, and so you know if anybody who wants to work on the Sheehan Bridge project, here's the gentleman right here that'd be what Bobby need to talk to, and then his crew that's out there. So, Jerry, you had a question? I think that St. John's, the quote we had that Joseph said, I think the St. Johns County has just a little bit longer of a piece than the Clay County, just as far as because the existing high-rise portion of the bridge is supposed to Clay County versus St. Johns County. So I would imagine what DOT is probably doing on Blanding Boulevard with the detour that's going on. They're constantly monitoring it, looking at ways to, if there is a traffic problem, what do they need to do to improve it? Will they need a temporary signal there or not? I don't think there's a signal there that's being proposed. Unless anybody in the department would know that. Yeah, it sounds like there'll be a temporary signal there at the intersection where the expressway temporarily ties into 16 those better hard though. So hopefully that will help with the traffic getting it to and from the expressway or others that are just going to continuing on to use Greenwood Bridge. Thank you.
Trivia question: if you get the answer correct, you get an extra sugar cookie before you leave today. This kind of goes with the muck. It's an official term. So I need to comment, how deep will the pilings on the bridge need to be across the river? Anybody got a rough estimate of what they think the depth of the pilings will be? Pilings are the poles that go down and hit the hard bend to support the river. Anybody got any estimate? 60? 100 and what? 10? Anybody else? 200. A little bit deep. I was told the pilings would need to go down 150 feet to support the ridge. And I'm a boating guy, so I'm like, the river's 25 feet deep in the channel, and it still has to go another 125 feet before it hits hard pan. That was just the interesting question to me. Also note in the picture in the top, there will be 2 lanes of traffic each way. There will also be an emergency lane on both sides, and there will be a pedestrian crossing that you're seeing on this side that has the railing and the fence. So once it is complete, don't think quite the abutment, but think the abutment, and you're free to walk up it and across it, and your feet free to bicycle across it. So you'd be in pretty good shape to do that, but that is an opportunity once you get up there. So we're excited about seeing the bridge being complete. So we have one more presenter, and then we have the heralded video update that we have. So this time I'd like to call Ms. Marion with the U.S. Small Business Administration to come give us a quick update on what they have going on, and then we will be able to see the video. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Tatorie Marion. I'm a public affairs specialist for the United States Small Business Administration Office of Recovery and Resilience. I just wanted to come today. Thank you, Lindsay, for allowing me to speak for a few minutes, just to let you know that we are in the area still accepting loan applications for our low interest loans. We have 3 types of loans available: business physical disaster loans, economic injury disaster loans, and home disaster loans. These loans are for businesses, homeowners, and nonprofits. A few benefits of the disaster loan for business and nonprofits: up to $2 million to cover physical damage and financial losses, low fixed rate interest with terms up to 30 years, no payment, no interest for 12 months, no need to wait for insurance to settle before applying, and funds are available to build back better and protect against future disasters. I will be here at the end of the presentations today to answer any questions, or if you would like to apply, you can go to sba.gov/disaster. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
All right, we're almost wrapped up. So thank you again for taking the time to come this morning. We appreciate your support of Clay County EDC and the Grove in Clay County. Let's see. I wanted to let you know that the entire content of the presentation today will probably be posted off our website. Give us about a week to get that up. The video you're about to see will also be posted, and we can share that with you if you have an organization that you would like to share. If you would like us to kind of speak, we can show the video and just do an update to your organization if that's something that would be beneficial to you. So with that, thank you so much for coming, and Lindsay, if you'll show our video, please.